there, right?
Oh, wow. I know.
I will call the meeting to order.
I know where you're going.
Right.
If you have cell phones, please silence them or put them on vibration. Clerk Merle, would you please call the roll?
Curry,
Here.
Adel,
Here.
Peterson, Avedisian, Lozano,
Here.
Yule,
Here.
Bush,
Here.
Clark,
Here.
Sty,
Here.
Bella,
Here.
Drake,
Here.
Hale,
Here.
Bordeaux,
Here.
Gentile,
Here.
Healy,
Here.
Hoffman,
Here.
Oheb, Holloway,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
Cantz, Lester, Lewis, Magnan, Van Dyke, Maniscalco, Payne,
Here.
Tell,
Here.
Flemmy,
Here.
Stuber,
Here.
Taylor,
Here.
Torres,
Here.
Holt,
Here.
Carrier. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And good evening, everyone. Next on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes of March 4th, 2024. Moved and seconded. Is there any changes, additions, deletions, discussions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Next is public comments relative to agenda items. Is there anyone in the public that would like to address the board on agenda items? Seeing none, hearing none. Move on to report from District Chair. I have nothing to report. Next is report from our CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to defer my report and I'm asking two staff members to give a report. Nick Salami is going to give a report on just how to manage through the website because there was a lot of questions regarding where things are and updates on the integrated plan. So Nick's going to just do a quick overview of how you maneuver through the website and look for specific information. So Nick, go ahead.
Victoria, help me out here. What?
Oh, is this you?
Where am I going?
Click on Chrome on the bottom.
On what?
Chrome on the bottom.
Okay.
And then can you make it full screen, Nick?
Yeah.
It'll show better on the WebEx. Thank you.
So this is the actual internal MDC intranet. So where we're going is where we start from the internet. So back in September of last year, we added the North Hartford Sewer Improvement Projects, which is really the kind of the catchier name. So we know what we were talking about and everyone could find it easier for the integrated plan. We probably added it at the end of the summer, but really made it featured right here in the early fall. So I'm just doing a quick recap of where everything is. Besides the first thing you see when you go on our website. It's also accessible under resources right here. But probably the best thing to go over today is like what's changed since then. And it scrolls if you're not hitting it like that, every 5 seconds or so. But so the main ways to get here, find a secondary way under resources. When you go into the actual project information, This is really, everything about what we're doing is kind of here. Oops. We have integrated planning reporting page. When we have these consent order meetings that deeper, sorry. Oh, sorry, I was looking at the bottom, sorry. So the integrated plan reporting page is really the new part of it. We'll get to that in a second. But it basically says every active construction project we have that's part of the North Hartford work. So it's broken down by sewer separation first. There's 3 of those going on right now. We have the lining and rehabilitations, Tower Avenue, North Branch. We kind of give weekly updates of where the work's going to be here, just kind of basic. But if you go into the actual page, everyone has its own dedicated page. Durham Street kind of gives you like a layout of where everything is, short description, properties, the amount, and then we kind of have work completed. And some of the outreach that we've done, we've had flyers here. So you can go through and kind of track how it's been going since we started. But so what we're really going to talk about today is here this integrated plan reporting information, which as part of the consent order, we were required to have these quarterly meetings with DEEP that we've done here in the boardroom. The first one was back in December. And just to go to that quickly. The first thing here is if you want to download the document of the consent order itself, but from the meetings, we'll go back to the first one here back in December. It's basically the agenda, any part of the presentation, and the video of the entire presentation, which is, and there's Scott and Bill, was kind of, it's a way you can go, if you aren't able to come to it, you can go watch it after the fact. We usually have it posted in a day or so. We also have some at the bottom of the screen here. You can see the public act that was passed last year. There's a separate required postings. It's called Public Act 23-204, which are monthly reports to DEEP that we send out to the legislature, DEEP, and we post them here online. So this did not exist until December, and we kind of updated. We just had a meeting March 14th, which is what Scott was referring to, where we had an agenda, kind of the cover letter. But the difference of the meeting we had in March is we were required to put a presentation online a month ahead of time, have folks have time to look at it, comment on it. It was more of the annual review of all the work we had done. Typically, these meetings are just quarterly reports. So the updates are kind of like statistics since the last time we reported how much more work's gotten done, that kind of thing. One quick thing, there's a lot more lining and separation work, especially in the North Hartford area, the Granby Street area, that's going to be taking place the coming year, this year and the coming years. So what I'd like to do, and I can share with all of you soon enough, is kind of working on a way to lay out this existing information and what's to come in a better way. As you can see, there's a lot of information here, and folks that I show it to, it starts to get, if you get like 5 more projects on here, it's going to get pretty cluttered. So we're kind of working with a designer to kind of not be trapped in the website's navigation system and kind of have its own page, kind of capture everything, so it's not like 75 links you got to go to. It'll be much easier on the eyes when we're done. And so in anticipation of that, we've been working with a developer. It's going to build like a kind of a unique platform for that to better convey the information. But it's all right here. Like to find the meetings, information, reporting, anything you need to get to is at least starts on this page. That's all I have.
That's good, Nick. Yeah,
That's it. That's all I got.
Just give everybody a sense of where that information is on the website. Thank you.
Okay.
And then Chris Levesque is going to give a presentation regarding as Nick mentioned, a lot of our lining projects, when we issue that project lining, we're lining miles and miles of pipe under that specific contract. And as part of that contract, we're going to be lining Park River Conduit right across the Bushnell Park. And Chris is going to give a quick presentation on that project and the importance of it because of the condition of the pipe, and also talk about our communications effort on that project. Go ahead, Chris.
Chris, could you hold it just a second? Commissioner Payne, did you have your hand up?
I did, thank you. Commissioner Chair, I had a question for Nick. I want to thank Nick for all the communications he puts out on social media and everything. And then I wanted to ask him, are meetings on this webpage also? Are district meetings on here? And did you forward those out to public access TV still?
See, are the meetings on? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah, the meetings in their entirety, you can watch the video from start to finish, just like any board meeting or subcommittee meeting.
Okay, and are they forwarded to the public access TV still?
Yeah, you actually, some of them download them themselves,
Okay.
but we post them on YouTube.
Very good.
It's the best way, the bandwidth holds it. We use that external site. So we do forward it out to the other channels, but they can actually download it themselves
Thank you very
pretty
much.
easily.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Chris, go ahead.
Thank you. Let me adjust this real quick. Chris Levesque, Chief Operating Officer with the MDC. Thanks. This presentation's presentation on two extremes. So I did want to briefly, and we're going to go through some of the project scope, but there is extreme amount of work put into this on the engineering side and how to execute this. The other extreme is our deficiencies that we had in communicating. One, identifying the stakeholders, key stakeholders, identifying their needs, their impacts, as well as communicating out on our project. So we're going to walk through, one, what the project is all about, and then two, how we're addressing some of those failures we had with communicating. So I'll quickly start with, as Scott mentioned, we've been doing a lot of lining across the district. This was a large $13.6 million contract to line large diameter pipes, mostly in the Hartford area. This is the last component right now, is lining the Park River Interceptor. It's about 100 to 160 years old, ranging from 30 to 60 inches in diameter. So a very large sewer, basically over near the train station on Asylum Avenue, on the corner of the park. And basically follows Asylum, Jewel, all the way into Pulaski Circle, and then ultimately goes over near Columbus Boulevard, where it discharges into the exit point of our siphon that we always talk about as one of our Achilles heel with the cleaning and ensuring that we can keep that flow going. So more specifically on this was an urgent matter that we had to look at and address over in the next year or so. So that's one of the reasons the contract went out, to address this. We were having sort of precursors of failures where the crown of the pipe, and we'll show you pictures on how what that looked like. But this is a significant pipe. 13 million gallons a day pass through this pipe on a normal day. So that's about a quarter of the flow that the plant receives on a daily basis. So substantial flows, and we'll just jump right into it. So this is the area where we're lining from. So top left corner of the screen is close to the train station where the I-84 overpass is. And then it comes along there, along the north side of the park, comes down Jewel, and then comes across Pulaski Circle just out here, Wells Street, Arch Street, and ultimately over to Columbus Boulevard. This is just an indication of one of the failures that are prevalent across this pipe. You can sort of see the crown of the pipe coming in and sort of arches and hinges in. So this is a failure usually due to loading on top of the pipe where that crown starts to fail. So what we're going to be doing is providing a structural aligner that will go inside of that pipe, and it'll basically create a new pipe within that. Now that pipe will be much smoother. We'll actually, the shape of it will be actually a smaller diameter than the hose pipe, which is the brick, but it'd actually be able to pass more flow due to the smoothness of that pipe. So ultimately, We're going to improve flow characteristics as well as take the groundwater out because it'll be completely sealed pipe as well. So quickly moving through this. This is the project schedule right now. We've been working on this with a pre-inspection of the pipe back in 2023. And part of what we're going to get into on the communications is we bumped into this start time of actually trying to put this bypass pumping in, which is going to be the biggest impact to all the stakeholders along Bushnell Park that we're going to get into. But that's going to occur over the next 3 weeks. So if you go past Jewel Street over to the train station, you'll see large black pipe being piled there right now. We want to have this communication before we started fusing that in there, and also address all the impacts to all the stakeholders around there. The team that's been working on this project is working very diligently since 2 Fridays ago, getting those contacts, working through all those issues, as well as taking conservative measures too, that we can stay ahead of this and have contingencies to break things down if need be, to support the parks and other stakeholders' priorities. And then ultimately, we're going to line starting the week of the 22nd, and that'll occur about a 2-week period. And then ultimately, we're looking to remove that bypass between May 1st, and it'll probably take another 2 weeks or so to do that. Now, this is all weather contingent. If we get large rain events, this process can't occur. The pumps won't run, and we'll pass the water through the normal Park River interceptor. The pumps won't be able to keep up with the wet weather, but for the lining purposes, during lining, the pumps will be running, and then discharging ultimately to the siphon over on Columbus Boulevard. And then ultimately, there is some impact, there is some disruption. Sidewalks will be removed, grass, those type of things. We are protecting all the trees. This is one of the things that we're going to be closing out the project with the complete restoration. We're going to get into all where the layouts are, or the bypass lines, but this is one example. There are going to be two 18-inch pipes coming from over near the train station. That's where we're essentially installing a temporary pump station or an interceptor. So it is a large facility, 3 pumps, 1 backup, but 2 primary that are going to be able to bypass this large interceptor line throughout the duration of this work. To get that flow from point A to point B, we have to run 2 temporary pipes basically along the edge corridor of the park, and then ultimately get it over to Columbus Boulevard. So in that process, we are making accommodations to maintain access to the park. This was extremely important. We're installing 12 of these walkways to get over the piping. Overall, we were very conservative. Jeff and the team and Susan, they had scheduled 12. Park looked at it and said, well, we only need 8, but I look at it this way. It's easier to take walkways away than try to add them in. So we're trying to go above and beyond to what to get access, maintain access for all the users of the park. Quickly go through. So the orange line is the Park River interceptor. So this is the path it follows. So what we need to be able to do is go a manhole above that, actually 2, to set up where we need to put the pumps. And how we actually go about doing that is we'll actually put a plug on the Park River interceptor, pull the suction lines out, so we're actually bypassing all that water. So our contractor crews can actually go in there and install the liner while the pipe's dry. So the 2 18-inch bypass lines are actually is that blue line, and that's how it's going to circulate through. So last Monday, again, completely short notice on our part, but we were able to work through the Bushnell Conservatory to identify this, get the plan approved throughout the week, identify where we can make improvements, and ultimately we're still making improvements as of today on how do we make this more presentable, how do we make the park more welcoming, obviously with an aluminum ramp to get in there. We want to make it as welcoming as possible for the residents of Hartford and all the users within the area. So these are all the areas where we're setting up these 12 ramps, and we put this on a map to portray this. We did a virtual walkthrough and then a site walkthrough with the conservatory manager of this, and we determined this is our plan moving forward. So this is the area closest to the train station. We move along Jewel to come down to Pulaski Circle. This is the one difference. So as I mentioned, the Park River Interceptor comes up along Bushnell Towers up here, and the building right across from Pulaski Circle, and come up Wells, and then ultimately down Arch. Our bypass line will actually come across Pulaski Circle, and that bypass line will be under the Whitehead Bridge. So the entrance ramp onto 91. If you recall, coming onto there, there's a Jersey barrier, a concrete barrier, and then the wall, the abutment of the bridge. These bypass lines will be between the barrier and the abutment of the bridge, so completely hidden. Other things that we're doing, we've worked with DOT on obtaining all the permits, so there won't be any exposed pipe on the road surfaces. So everything will be buried under the road and then repaved and then ultimately removed when the work's done. Again, this is the extension of that out to Columbus Boulevard, and then that's ultimately where it comes out right over there on the Columbus Boulevard, our siphon, our exit portion of the siphon. So quickly to go through, and I do want to highlight, we have a lot of partners in this project, and the city of Hartford's been very supportive. Janice Castle is very supportive of us. She wants to see the MDC successful on this, and we've been working diligently with her, putting our plans back, identifying those stakeholders, executing the communications with those stakeholders, and also receiving feedback from those stakeholders that we're actually making contact with. So I appreciate all Janice's support on this, and then working with all the MDC engineering staff on this to make sure it's a success, and addressing some of those impacts or potential impacts of the businesses as well as the residents of Hartford. But this is just sort of a snapshot of some of the communication we've done so far. That being said, there's businesses down Arch Street, residences down there that are going to be seeing our MDC vehicles as well as our contractor vehicles doing this work. So, run out of time, but just what we end up needing to do is we need to open up the road, get access to the manhole, and then from there we line from both directions within that manhole. And those are two different setups, but ultimately that minimizes the impact. We chose the manholes out of intersections so we can maintain traffic during all those operations. And then Jeff and his team, the project manager on it, Susan, her team have been working diligently with Mary from the Bushnell Conservatory, confirming this route. We've looked at ways of beautifying those ramps. We're going to be putting planters in as part of their annual work with Knox. We're going to help support them on that, beautify those entrances to the park. And then throughout the process, addressing those needs that pop up that through our communication with Mary, we can anticipate today, but we also need to react to them during the project. Our target completion is well before, like we said, we're going to try to shoot for May, weather dependent, but we've been working with Mary, identified the events that are occurring within the park. We're also well aware that the UConn women and the UConn men may win a national championship next week. So we're anticipating a parade through the city. So that is another thing that we're working diligently with all the stakeholders, including Janice, Hartford DPW, on what that would impact this, making sure that we leave space open for that parade to go through, and then the residents of Hartford and the residents of Connecticut to be safe. So this is the plan so far. And I thank everyone's patience with us while we work through the communications on this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Are there any questions for Chris?
Just a
George?
what's the life expectancy of the of this lining that we're doing? Because we're doing various types of lining.
Yeah, so typically they're greater than 50 years. The technology itself, it's a very large, thick liner. On average, they're between 50 and 80 years. As the technology increases, it's definitely not going to be my career, but I anticipate the technology getting much, much better, that we'll be able to reline it again. Ultimately, this is a combined sewer. So the pipe was designed to take not only sanitary water, but also stormwater. So through our plan moving forward within the integrated plan, the more stormwater we get out of the pipe, the improvement of the capacity of that pipe will increase. So that's ultimately the goal. So if probably not going to be here for me in another 50 years or 80 years, but yeah, we're thinking we have the ability in 80 years to realign it again.
I'm all set. Thank you, Mr.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Anything else, Scott?
Nope, that's my report.
Before we move on to district council report, I would like to thank members of the IT and Victoria for being here starting around 4:00 for 1 hour of iPad training. And I think there were eight commissioners and one citizen member that was here. And it was apparent that by the number of all the commissioners from East Hartford that were most in need. But I do thank them. It was a very worthwhile hour, and I think we all learned a lot. So, all right, we'll move on to report from district council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chris Stone, I don't have a formal report. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions anyone might have on anything that's going on in my office, but no formal report tonight.
Questions? Seeing none, thank you, Chris. And we'll move on to new business, if you will, Board of Finance consideration and potential action. The first up is the closeout of the water capital projects. And I would ask Chairman Salemi for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that this passed at the Board of Finance unanimously, so on behalf of the Board of Finance, I move to accept it.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Next is approval of State of Connecticut financing DWSRF 2023-7121. Again, I will ask Chairman Salemi from Finance for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe that this also passed unanimously at the Board of Finance meeting and recommendation to accept it.
Second.
Discussion? Already got that. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. And the last item under Board of Finance is the supplemental appropriation of $44,600,000 for the district's 2024 capital improvement program, water and integrated plan, authorizing the issuance of bonds or notes of the district in an amount not to exceed $44,600,000 in finance said appropriation. And again, I'll recognize Chairman Salemi from Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this was at our last, most recent Board of Finance meeting of Board of Finance. It was approved unanimously. And the recommendation is to accept it. Move to accept.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. And number 10, because MDC government made no recommendation to the district board, that action, any action taken on that will be, will not be. So that moves us on to the opportunity for general public comments. Is there anyone from the audience who would like to address the board?
Hello, my name is Alma Elder, and I wish to make a few comments. I apologize
Please do
for
so.
the horrendous difficulty I have on my computer with getting the sound system working. This is in reference to the discussion we had last week about the carbonate fuel cell power plant. And I want to appeal to the commissioners to oppose the expansion of liquid natural gas onto MDC by leasing land for a carbonate fuel cell power plant. LNG is mostly methane gas. Under heat, it produces carbon dioxide, and when leaked, it floats as methane. Both carbon dioxide and methane are greenhouse gases. That is, they trap the heat on our planet like a greenhouse and cause more heat, water, and climate chaos. Last year saw the hottest temperature and the most rain in Connecticut. MDC crews are well aware of the flooding in the north end of Hartford and the frequency of atypical floods. Furthermore, increases in rain and temperature are responsible for high rates of disease like asthma in this area. As MDC is a strong community partner in many ways, I ask that they choose to work toward less methane and more energy alternatives. Do not lease land for a carbonate fuel cell power plant. MDC should strive for the legislators' goal of carbon-free operations by 2040. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Seeing none? Commissioner requests for future agenda items? Hearing none? Meeting is adjourned.